And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that lovely duct tape. 5 minutes is all we needed here to get ready for our first semi-finals match. The players have returned, and we are getting into game number 1. Game 1 is, of course, going to be on Ancient Cistern. And as we get ready, as we load on into the first map, everyone in the chat, predictions are now open for the next 2 minutes. You can place your bets here on who you believe is going to be this week's finalist. Is it going to be the Korean Protoss or the Korean Zerg? It's on you to figure that out for yourself. As spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Ancient Cistern, we have the South Korean Protoss player, currently teamless. It's crazy, deserving to be on a team, one of the best Protoss in all of South Korea. It is Classic. And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Ancient Cistern, we have his opponent. We have the best Zerg player in all of South Korea, representing CranKy Gaming. It is Dark. Vamonos, papi, vamonos. As a reminder, this is a semi-finals match. The winner moves on to the grand finals. This is also a best of 3, not a best of 5. So bear that in mind when you make your predictions. Gonna be a bit of a shorter series. And as a result, this is going to be quite close indeed. Both of these players have been going back and forth over the past couple of weeks. Sometimes Dark is looking dominant, sometimes it's Classic instead. It's all about who is feeling better on the day. Because, yeah, they can be sometimes unpredictable. Classic especially has been very wild when it comes to his build, sometimes going into Glaive Adept, sometimes going into some really greedy economic play off of, you know, fast Stargate into +1 Blink Stalkers, into fast double Robo Colossi. There's been a lot that's been going on here in the meta of PvZ recently. There's been a lot of shifts in the meta as well. Oh boy. So we'll see how this all turns out. Likewise, there are some weeks where, you know, Dark wakes up, he gets out of the bed, and he chooses violence. I think we saw that last week in Dark versus Hero. We casted Dark versus Hero in the finals of, what's it, I think it was the last ESL Asia? It was Asia or ESL Olympic of Americas. I can't quite remember. No, sorry, I think it was maybe Kung Fu Cup. Regardless, in the last week, we saw Hero versus Dark. Yeah, it was Kung Fu Cup. Yeah, it was in like the round of 16 or something. They played each other, which was wild. They faced so early on, and both games Dark just went for all-ins. Dark just went for nothing but all-ins against Hero, and it didn't work. Hero did take the series, and Dark got eliminated very early on in this week's Kung Fu Cup. But this time, you know, we're just chilling, we're just droning. On Ancient Cistern, the likelihood of going for an all-in here for Zerg isn't very high, so he's not going to be too tempted to do so. Yo, as we get a massive raid here from someone very special. Shout out to Falcon Paladin. Thank you so much for the raid. Hope you had a great stream. Hope you had a great cast. Falcon Paladin, more known for his Brood War casting over on YouTube. So thank you so much. Really do appreciate the support. Hope you had a great time, and hope you'll continue to have a great day. Oh, thank you, Papa. Thank you. Shout out to Falcon Paladin, a fellow caster. From my understanding, doesn't cast as much StarCraft 2, but regardless, still StarCraft in general. You love to see it. Gracias, Papi. Gracias. As we get into this game, and so far everything's looking relatively standard, we do have a Stargate opener coming out from Classic, Oracle first, as to be expected. It's about the follow-up that we're going to be keeping our eye on. How many Oracles are we going to be making? Are we going to be going into Blink, or are we going to be going into Charge instead? Meanwhile, behind this, Dark has just been droning on up, did go for a Hatch Gas Pool opener. Unnatural, but again, has been doing a great job at keeping up with the Adepts, not really taking any losses here, taking his third, and just saturating his bases. So we go, the second Oracle is on the way. The first one is making its way across the map. Spores are being thrown down, and we do have Queens in position here at the third base. Oracle doesn't find a way in, but does catch a transferring drone. Ooh, and the third base is looking quite exposed here. Does morph into a Spore, but we are going to try and focus it down, and we will. Oh, almost morphs into a gas geyser there, but Classic does get a second kill here. Not bad, nothing too amazing. You know, this isn't devastating damage, but it's damage that does build up over time. Second Oracle is zooming out across the map as well. We do now have that one-shot potential. And Dark is going to be cutting some corners. He hasn't thrown down a Spore here at his natural base. Ooh, but Classic, he doesn't care. He dives on in. He will lose an Oracle. Don't know if that was really worth it here. 5 drones for 1 Oracle. Almost loses the second. Ooh, a lot of damage. Meanwhile, Classic, this has been very trendy, by the way. We saw it last night. We saw Firefly do it against Scarlet. We saw Firefly do it against Cham as well. Classic has been, sorry, Hero has been whipping this out. It is a Stargate opener from double Oracle into Glaive Adepts. This is very unexpected. This is very offbeat, very off meta. Usually we have Blink or +1 into charge, but with these Glaive Adepts, they are designed to surprise the Zerg player. They're designed to hit the Zerg when they're in the midst of droning, when they don't have roaches prepared. Dark is going for a scout. His Overlord is trying to get into the main base. Hasn't quite seen too much yet. We have revealed 4 Adepts, but that's not really too crazy. 4 Adepts at this stage of the game is normal more than anything. As the Adepts do focus down one of those drones, almost get a second. The Adepts are forced back. Ooh, and the Overlord did dip into the main and was able to see the production, but this is looking quite normal. That's why this is kind of really difficult to scout. We have a lot of Adepts zooming out across the map, and Dark was droning. What do we have at home to defend? We have a Roach Warren, but 0 Roaches. We have 14 Lings. That's not enough Lings. Here we go. The Adepts do reveal themselves. Glaives has finished up here for Classic. The Queens are going to try and keep up here, but it's about the shade. It's about how many units, how many Lings and Roaches do we have to keep up? The answer is not enough. The Adepts are making their way towards the natural base. We cannot afford to lose too many drones. Dark does evacuate, but does lose 4 of those workers. Meanwhile, we commit into the main base as well, and more drones are falling left and right. Thankfully, Dark did pull away a lot of those workers, but we even have shaded Adepts into the 3rd. And this is getting out of hand. Again, Dark was caught droning. He scouted the main, but he thought it was just Blink or Charge, something more standard, something that hits a little bit later. The target firing is too damn good, and we have lost 19 workers. Again, earlier we were talking about the shifts in the meta, and this, for the past almost 2 weeks now, has been very popular amongst Protoss players to mix it into a series, and Zerg players are still trying to figure this out, or still trying to figure out the tells of it early on, if any. As finally the Adepts get cleaned up, but 20 drones have gone down. Ay, ay, ay. Classic miles ahead in the worker count with 70 probes. We got 70 workers, 4th base is on the way, Blink as well for the follow-up. Again, the Adepts, they were just designed to harass, deal damage. We're not staying on Glaive Adepts by any means. We are moving in towards +2 and Blink. Oof. Ay, ay, ay. And this is going to be a really difficult position for Dark to come back from. Like, he's droning up really heavily right now, which is great, but Classic has been mining more for longer, and this is eating into the army supply of Dark. Looking at the units tab here, Dark, he's got a handful of Roaches, he doesn't have any Lings. This push here from Classic may just end the game. We even have 1 Oracle left over here to support. Oof. Here we go. We target down one of those Ravagers. There just aren't enough Lings to really punish these Stalkers. The Concave is looking a little bit too good. We have more Lings in the production. Oh, can Dark hold on? Looks like he's forcing back Classic for now. Again, behind this, Classic is taking up. We have a Storm on the way. As every single time Classic pokes in, he does focus down a Ravager. Has lost 2 Stalkers so far, but again, we can afford to lose some Stalkers. A couple more Tumors are going to be going down. And the Vials, they do slow down Classic a little bit. Classic has to be careful not to overextend. Then we got a massive Stay Strap going to be going off. Half the Lings do get caught in it. But we don't have enough to really surround these Stalkers to really punish this. As again, we do have our transition Charge Lot Archon Storm behind this. As long as Classic doesn't lose his Stalkers, he's still in a really good position. And he only flirts with the idea of pushing in, you know, he cleans up some creep, he dances with the Roach Ravager Ling of Dark, he never fully commits, he knows that he doesn't want to throw anything away. And now, Storm is complete. Now we can focus on a push that has the potential to end the game. Behind this, Dark still trying to drone up, still behind economically, still down at 10 or so workers compared to Classic. We have our Storms, we have +3, Jesus, and a second Robo to get into double Colossus production, or double Disruptors even. Sorry, I say second, I think that's the first actually. Yeah, first Robo. Well, we do have a full surround being set up, but the Storms are real. They connect with the Lings, they connect with the Ravagers. Despite the surround, we blink on backwards. Do we have another Storm available? We do not. Dark is forcing this back. Overall, a good trade here for Dark. He doesn't get on top of the Stalkers, but he does basically reset the High Templar. The surround was what he needed. Dark is slowly coming back in this game. He's not back in it yet, as we see Classic just picking up a couple additional units here and there. Not really being punished. Oh my god. Oof. Trading very efficiently. We have a 5th base on the way behind this for Classic as well, getting saturated. We did have a good fight. Dark, he just needs another. Coming back from behind, Dark has done it before. We'll see if he can do it again. We have 20 more Lings coming in behind this, +2 on the way. Bailing speed as well. Ooh, a really awkward blink here. Classic blinking aggressively is going to be losing a good chunk of his Stalkers. Big mistake here, and that is going to lose Classic a lot of momentum. Stalkers, you're supposed to preserve them, and they build up over time over the course of the game. They're quite expensive to replace, and they take a long time. 28 Stalkers have gone down. Classic just overextending, maybe just having a little bit too much confidence. Squads are going to be connecting. We do force the unsiege on that Prism. Do cancel the warp in. At the same time, Bailing Run By is slipping on in, and Classic is not paying attention. He's not looking. No reactions. The mineral line goes down at the same time. Another Bailing Run By here at the triangle. The third of Classic. More probes are going to be falling left and right. Classic is being forced to commit. But his main army is still looking terrifying. We still have a lot of High Templar. Classic is all in. 4th base is going to be broken. Basically, every single worker here has gone down. We even have Banelings that don't really know what to do because there are no probes left. Dark remaxing here with Roach Ravager. Oh god, and we still have a pretty large army from Classic, but we are slowly running out of Storms. And again, Storms are not the best here against Roach Ravager. They are quite tanky. They do tank quite a bit of them. Big Storm does connect. Wiles connecting as well. Classic trying to force his way in desperately. Nice moves with the Prism to save whatever he can, but we are running out of steam, and more reinforcements are coming in. We are out of Storm. Every High Templar is forced to morph into these Archons. We blink aggressively forward. The boys are being pulled again. Classic is gaining ground, but after losing those High Templar, he can't keep pushing. Here we go, the Roach Ravager trading pretty efficiently overall. We just have to kill these Stalkers, and that's it. And the Stalkers are falling left and right. And Dark has done it. He was in a terrible position. I'll be honest, Dark, he was in the gutter, mate. Things were not looking good whatsoever. But the mass Bailing Run-Bys, Classic was ahead in workers, ahead in bases. In a PvZ, that almost never happens. If that ever does happen, then the Zerg is just dead. But Dark never gave up. Hit that +2 timing with the Banelings. Killed 3 mineral lines worth of probes. And we still don't have any workers, by the way. Classic forced to recall. He was pretty all in, and after Dark has defended, now he is in the driver's seat. Classic trying to rebuild his Templar count, his Archons as well. Is resaturating his 3rd, but that lead that he once had is now completely gone. Dark, never count him out. It's going to be taking a 6th base as we speak. Just droning on up, working on +2. I imagine going to be working Infestation Pit soon to work towards Hive. Just getting further and further ahead. The Baneling run-bys are being set up once again. There's nothing to kill, unfortunately. Like, the Banelings, they can get like 2 probes and maybe a cannon. But regardless, they're on the way, you know? They're coming. Hopefully, Dark waits a little bit here for this base to get a little bit more saturated. Army's going to be moving in the left-hand side, looking to distract Classic as the Banelings roll on in. Drones are being transferred. But here we go, the Roaches are getting into the mineral line. The High Templar Classic's main army was out of position. The Banelings do roll on in, the Lings as well. Oh, massive storm on the Roach Ravager. But what matters is that probes are being lost. Dark, on the other hand, by the way, even though he's been taking bases, he hasn't really been droning. He's been stuck here at 67, so Dark doesn't have the most amazing economy. He has to deal damage. Oh my god, the High Templar does get 1. Banelings rolling in once again. The Roach Ravager trying to keep the main army busy. Can he find those connections? Oh, it looks like he will not. Lings come in a little bit too late. 18 probes, though, still go down. But again, because Dark is staying on a low drone count, he's basically going for a super max army. What this means is that if Dark ever trades inefficiently, he's going to have a really hard time rebuilding. He's not going to have a bank. He's not going to have a large bank. So a bit of a risky move here from Dark, but a risk he can take for the time being. There we go, the Banelings, they find their connections. The army here on the right-hand side has been cleaned up. The Banelings, they don't know where to go. There's just so much to kill. The Lings deal with the workers here at the 4th base. Sorry, at the 5th. Banelings trying to chase down the other probes here on the left-hand side. Ooh, Classic is just being pulled apart right now. There's just too much Zerg all over the place. Some good storms, but the 5th Nexus will finally go down. And even though Classic, he's holding on to his 4 bases, he's mustering a defense. Well, this is Dark with his army split up. Soon he's going to be looking to consolidate his army and go for one big push. Hive is now done. Adrenal Glands and +3s on the way. And with Dark remaxing, he's going to be looking for that fight. Pushing into High Templar is always a scary thing, but we only have High Templar here at the 3rd base. The 4th is that much more exposed. As Classic is pushing out, oh my god, it's crazy. Be clearing out some of this creep. Dark getting ready for a mass surrounding once again on top of the High Templar. Well, actually does divert his attention over towards that 4th base instead. He's all over the place. Storms are looking quite good, but Lings are getting into that mineral line once again. Dark just crippling the economy over and over again. He's losing a couple of roaches here and there, but the Lings, they just go to town. Oof. 17 probes falling. Dark, just death by 1,000 cuts. Just continuing to prod in left and right, back and forth, rotating. And again, a Classic, after having such a good start to the game, like, he doesn't want to leave. Like, he knows how far ahead he was. He knows that he was on the cusp, on the brink of winning the game. And everything just turned on its head. Here we go. He's going into one final push. The Banelings are rolling in. Adrenal Glands is done. They connect with the High Templar, and the entire Protoss army melts. GG gets called. Dark takes game number 1. Oof. Oh my god. GG. Oh, shout out to Falcon Paladin. Yo, SC2 5 times a week, Brood War 6 times. Oh, there you go. My mistake. I knew you more as a Brood War caster, but there you go. StarCraft 2 as well. You love to see it. Oh. And GG. Dark takes the first game out of coming back from a pretty devastating position. Ugh. Again, that Glaivedet follow-up has been quite popular in recent times, and we saw why. It's really difficult to scout, it's really difficult to confirm, and Dark got caught off guard. That crippled Dark's economy, and Dark couldn't counterattack either. But Classic was lacking a little bit of map vision, a little bit of map awareness. When he did finally go for his big push, he didn't really, or he wasn't able to prepare himself in time to defend his bases. He wasn't able to react in time either. Everything was suddenly on fire, and suddenly Classic was all in. It just turned on its head. Yeah, it's good to hear, Paladin. Good to hear, Paladin. Cool. As we're going to be getting into our next game. Loading into Gressvan. We have our series on our hands. I was really concerned. After the opener that of course Dark would be dropping the first game, but no, he is so tenacious. He just doesn't give up. Fights to the last. And here we go. Game number 2 will be taking place on Gressvan. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Gressvan, we have our first player. We have the South Korean Protoss, one of the best Protoss in all of South Korea. It is Classic. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Zerg player representing CranKy Gaming, leading this series 1-0. It is Dark. Let's go, Poppy. Let's go. Classic, of course, having such a phenomenal start to game number 1. I mean, his oracles weren't really amazing, but it was the follow-up. It was the glaives, and Dark is looking to have some fun. Oh my god. Dark, I've seen him do this to Protoss players before, but it's usually against lesser Protoss players, like your mid-tier Koreans. You know, I think of Rebellion, I think of Stephen Curry, I think of sometimes even Nightmare. But against Classic, he's crazy. He's wild. He's lost his mind. Let's go for a proxy hatch. And here we go. Classic is none the wiser. He goes for a probe scout. He confirms the lack of natural here, but for all he knows, the unnatural natural has been taken. So Classic is still in the dark. Classic, he still doesn't know. He lacks that crucial information. He's going for a gate expand. Oh no. Which is still fine. We can still react to what we're seeing. Classic, as he throws down the rest of his wall. Is he going to be getting eyes on this hatchery? It looks like he will. Wow, the probe just barely edges forward. The Cybercore actually pushed the probe forward. Oh. Now he's aware of what's going on. The boys are being pulled to throw down spine crawlers across the map. Queen's going to be made. Oh, as well as Lynx. And we'll see how Classic reacts here, because your typical reaction is going to involve a forge. You throw down a forge so you can get cannons. The problem here for Protoss is that they have very limited production. They have one gateway, so a forge does supply you another way to create things to defend and add that DPS, throw down those cannons, help support the army. And there we go, we have a forge, but this is a late forge. It looks like Classic, he didn't really recognize what he had seen. Upon seeing that proxy hatchery, the boys are being pulled. They're going to try and deny these spine crawlers. And there we go, we're getting us around on one of these spines. The Lynx here are dancing with these probes. Looks like we should get a cancel on one, but not on the other two. Ooh, that was just barely a cancel. Oh, as the spine crawlers do finish, and there we go, they're going to be leapfrogging forward immediately. The forge finally finishes. We have one cannon on the way, but again, I feel like this was a late forge. The wall is not a wall. The shield battery is under threat. The pylon as well. We don't have a backup pylon on the way. Where's the pylon? We need one, Bobby. There we go. A pylon is thrown down in the back line. But this first one will be focused down, and that is a late pylon as well. Classic maybe a little bit flustered, and the creep is spreading. Oh my god, the spine crawlers are getting into the natural. They're breaking in. The Lings are trying to focus down these Stalkers. It looks like one Stalker will fall. We have the overcharge to try to keep this cannon alive, and it will survive. With the power of the overcharge, we're going to be able to overpower one of these spine crawlers. We still have no production, by the way. We have one gateway on the way behind the natural. But one Stalker, one Sentry is all we have to defend. Stalker, Sentry, shield batteries, and cannons. That is it. Behind this, we have a Baneling Nest. We're flooding Lings across the map. Dark is looking to end the game. He's not transitioning. He's not droning by any means. The wall will fall. And we don't have warp gates. We have to make units like a Terran player. We can't make anything from the gateway because anything that gets made is going to die. I just... What do? We have some decent SimCity here, you know, with the Sentry, with the Force Field, with the Pylons. But what about the Baneling? So we're only going to have one Force Field available, maybe two Force Fields. But the Baneling's going to be looking to just crash on in. The second gateway finally finishes up, and here we go. We're pulling the trigger. How good are the Force Fields? Pretty damn good. They do protect the Sentry. They protect the front wall, but the Lings, they don't care about the front wall. They just rush into the main. And they're just going to be able to focus down the main Nexus. Forcing Classic onto one base. He has no money right now. He can't make anything. He's broke. Next is going to be going down. The Spine Crawlers leapfrog forward. Again, only a single Sentry to defend. And I think Dark's just done it. We just don't have enough energy for too many more force fields. We're gonna have like one soon, but we don't have it right now. And without force fields, then everything's just gonna blow up to the Banes. It's just too much. And here we go. Dark is pulling the trigger. The Banelings, they roll on in. They connect with the shield batteries. Only 3 cannons remaining. Sorry, 4 cannons. Now 3. Now 2. I missed this one back here. Classic trying desperately to hold on. He's trying to hold on. We have one Zealot. We have one Zealot. Let's go. Dark doesn't have too much gas to work with either. He could try and drone, I guess, but no, he wants to keep on pushing, keep on going. Another Sentry is on the way. We're running out of steam. I kind of want Dark to drone, to be honest. I kind of want him to, like, at least take another gas, which would help with all these Banelings. Dark is so limited by his gas. As with this Cyber Core, we can now throw down a Robo. We can start Immortal production if we ever get the economy for that. Ooh, we're trying to get a bit of a surround. We do get a surround on the Zelda Babies. They roll on in. Ooh, they get a connection, but only on the gas mining workers. Ooh, the other 2 Baileys do get into the mineral line again. Good reactions out of Classic. Nice splits. Able to avert disaster. We've got 2 gates. We've got an Immortal on the way. That is huge. If this Immortal comes out, we can defend. We can actually break free. Like, we got some shield batteries. We have an overcharge available. The Immortal does change things. This is not clear cut. Yo, we have to take down this pylon. There we go. The Immortal does pop out. Mate, can Classic pull off the hold? Like, he does have a better economy. He is lacking tech. He's been having to rebuild his production. But yeah, he's forcing the drone. He's forcing Dark to drone, and this is late. We're retaking the main base. Classic is not in the worst position right now. Yep, there we go. GG gets called. Classic takes game number 2. Ooh, with the arrival of that Immortal, with the higher worker count, with the better economy, with the 2 bases, Classic barely held on. Ooh. GG. Again, Classic having the wherewithal to throw down that Robo in the midst of all that chaos, to rebuild, to know and recognize his win condition. Oh, and Dark having very limited gas as well. Again, he never took his second gas back at home. He didn't have the lava for it to drone up and actually saturate that. So he never really had the critical amount of banelings that he needed to finally break through the defenses and break the natural. GG. GG, well played. Hatchros, yes, proxy hatch, proxy hatch. And now we have an ace match. But shout out to Dark, like he almost pulled that off. Like that was very close. That was a very close game. Almost pulled it off. A couple of minute changes here and there, and maybe he could have won that game. But now we get into game number 2, the ace match. And spawning. In the bottom left-hand corner of Royal Blood, we have the South Korean Zerg player representing CranKy Gaming. Ooh, currently in a tied-up series here, 1-1 in the ace match. It is Dark. And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Royal Blood, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Protoss fighting back in this series, tying it up 1-1 in that last game. It is Classic. Boy. And this time, Dark doesn't have a drone on the map. This time, his workers are back at home. Is going to be going for a much more standard opener. Going for a hatch first. Hatch, gas pool. Oh, again, that proxy hatch from Dark. I can't believe that he almost pulled it off. Like, Classic was looking in Death's face. And Classic said, "Not today, mate. Not today." Refusing to die. Oh. Using to relent. And yeah, with that, this can still go either way. We saw how Classic had found himself in a really good position in game 1. He can look to do it again. But to be fair, I feel like the Glaive Up follow-up from the Oracle opener is something you do once in a series. I don't think it's a wise choice to do it multiple times, so I expect to be seeing a different follow-up this time. Boy, here we go. And yeah, we'll see how things kind of establish from here. I imagine Classic's going to be going for another Stargate opener into Oracles. He may just go into standard play, just into +1 Blink Stalkers, into his Robo follow-up from there. Oh, never mind. No Stargate. A Twilight Council. Classic, it's his turn to be the aggressor here. He's like, mate, you want to proxy hatch me in game 2? You're crazy, puppy. The disrespect. Now, Classic is going to be opening up with the Twilight Council. Now, the big question is, how many gates are going to be with this opener? How many gateways? 3, 4, 6? These 2 base, 6 gates, or 6 glaives all in is, you know, again, relatively popular as well. I wouldn't put it past Classic to do so. As he throws down a Robo, we haven't pulled out a gas. Oh no, there we go. Yeah, we did finally pull out a gas, so it is going to be a Glaive Adept opener, not to be DTs. And if he does pull back in, or if he does take his additional gases here at his natural, then that will be a sign of more aggression. As the Adepts are just going to be dancing across the map, and there we go, Glaives does start up. We have 2 gates behind this, so 3 gates in total for the time being. Just meant to provide a little bit of light aggression here, light pressure, before we do throw down our third. Unless we throw down more gates, which we're not. Yeah, you know, a little bit more of an economic Glaive Adept opener. This can still get out of control, and this could still do a lot of damage, but it's not really designed to deal damage. As we can see here, Classic is going for his third base. Here's the less committed variation of the many different Glaive Adept builds. Oh, never mind. Oh my god, I love this. He goes to throw down a third, but he doesn't. You know why? Because he throws down a 4th gateway and he starts immortal production. He is making it look as if he's opening up economically, but he is doing anything but. He's going to be going all in. Oh my god. Meanwhile, across the map, Dark is setting up defensively. He's got spores in some of his bases just in case it's a DT opening. It's throwing down a spine crawler as well. We have a roach warren at a reasonable time. The adepts are arriving. Dark is going to be ready for the first couple of adepts here. But what about the next wave? Lings do go for a counterattack. They do confirm the lack of third. Oof. As the adepts are able to get on top of one of these queens, the transfuses were not quite enough to keep it alive. At the same time, the prism has arrived for another warping in towards the third. Adepts break into the main base, but we have a lot of Lings to defend. We have roaches on the way as well. These adepts are going to get cleaned up. And the adepts at the third were a little bit too late. Dark was able to evacuate. He hasn't lost too much at all. Here we go. We go for the recall. I think because Classic just lost a couple too many adepts, we're not really going to be committing too hard. We do go for another warping into the main, but we have to transition. We are throwing down our third base. Oh my god, if Classic had preserved his adept count, oh god, no! No! Classic, he flies too close to the sun, he turns around to pick up those adepts, and he loses the prism. That is devastating. Now Dark has nothing to worry about back at home. We have our lair on the way. We're taking our gases. We're droning up as we speak. Dark, he is safe to do whatever he wants. Classic on the other side, he's rebuilding his prism. He knows he has to do some kind of counter damage. He does have two immortals. Did delay his third quite heavily in favor of this. He's got a lot of work to do. He has to do damage. He has to make this delayed third worth it. And he has rebuilt a lot of adepts. He's hoping to maybe catch it Dark droning. But again, that is just not meant to be. Dark working on more Roach Ravager. Third base is done, but not really saturated. So here we go. We do start probing here for Classic. Deb's going to be threatening a shade, but we're not going to be committing. Not yet. We're not that crazy. Here we go. We push on forward. We have another warp in here on the front lines. In the face of Ravagers and Queens, bold move. Here we go. Lings are closing this as we get a full surround. Oh, and Classic, he's going to be losing all of his adepts. The Immortals are trying to pack a punch here, but the Prism gets zoned away. Again, great control from the Queens here from Dark. Great target firing. He holds on, he survives. Throws down a Spire behind this. And Classic's transition is going to be a second Robo and a Bay. Going to be getting into either Colossi or Disruptor production. But he doesn't really have, like, a solid foundation. That's the problem of this build here from Classic. It was hyper aggressive. It was designed to cripple Dark, and it hasn't. And now he doesn't have charge. He doesn't have blink. Like, his Gateway army is worse for wear. Ling's gonna force a massive warp in back at home. We even force a recall. And Dark, such a smart decision. He's going for a Spire. Like, there's no blink stalkers. He's going into double Stargate. Okay, there we go. He did scout the Spire, so it does make sense. He was able to dip on in, confirm the tech, so he's going to be going into Phoenixes. Now, does Dark know he got scouted? If he does, he doesn't have to make mutas, but we are banking up a lot of gas. So we are going to be going into those mutas. 10 mutas being built as we speak. These Stargates are a little bit late, so the Phoenixes are going to take some time. These mutas are going to deal damage. Again, no blink, no stalkers. The mutas have options. They can either go for the mineral line, or they can go for the prism and then the immortal, and even the disruptors as well. Like they've got a lot of units that they can focus down. We'll see what they go for. As we have an Overseer dipping on in, trying to get confirmation on what the defensive position is looking like. He does spot the Phoenixes. This will force the mutas back. We're actually getting into Corruptors. Okay, makes sense. Corruptors are on the way. Mutas haven't committed to anything yet, but we are holding on. for that opportune moment. The other good thing about making mutas right now is that Classic doesn't know if there are any mutas on the map. Like, he saw the Spire, but for all he knows, Dark knows he got scattered and decides not to make any mutas. So because of that, you know, Classic, he doesn't know if it's safe to move out. He is banking quite a lot of Phoenixes though, so he is preparing himself. For the time being, he does believe that mutas were made. Behind this, we have a Fleet Beacon to go into Phoenix range. Mutas are looking to deny this fourth base. Corruptors are here to zone away the Phoenixes. And the Phoenix is the only thing that shoots up. They are the only thing. Ooh, they do run past the Mutas and one Phoenix will go down. At the same time, a Ling Roach Ravager run by here. The wall's on the wall! The Lings, they get in! Ay, ay, ay. Lings, they flood into the natural base. The Cyber Core is under threat. It's gonna get piled down. Nice splits as well here from Dark. With those last bars, it looks like he will get a kill on that Cyber Core, denying +1 and denying any kind of stalkers. Mutas at the same time do dive into that fourth base once again. Continuing to pump out more Mutas. This is a risky move because we still have Phoenix production. We have Phoenix range on the way. Dark, I think he feels good that the fact that we can't make any more stalkers, so he's gonna be diving on top of every single one of these stalkers as well. Oh, gets the prism. He's actually trying to focus down the disruptors. Doesn't quite get them. Oof. And here we go. We do try to dance and force the army out of range of that overcharge. We are diving on top of the disruptors. One of them will go down. So will the second. And it's looking to be just too much damage. This opens up the natural base. The Ling Roach Ravager flooding on in. The Phoenixes are being kept at bay. They get cleaned up by the Corruptors. Roach Rav, Ling, and Muta Corruptor. Apparently the unit composition of choice here, and he has just been able to overwhelm. There are only 2 Phoenixes remaining. And the Mutas, they just don't give a damn. GG gets called, and Dark takes the series and moves on to the grand finals. Ooh. GG. Classic having a really odd build here. It was like a fake out third base into a 4-gate Glaive Adept into Immortal production as well. I kind of like it. Again, it's meant to catch the Zerg player off guard and unawares, but we saw him commit to a shade and not really babysit his adepts, so he was never able to build up a threatening adept count. And after losing the first wave, like, he lost a lot of momentum. Not just the first wave of adepts, but remember, he also lost the War Prism as well. So just the execution was lacking there initially, and that did mean that Classic was stumbling out the gates because he had delayed his own economy in favor of this more aggressive build, an aggressive build that in the end wasn't very aggressive. Had a hard time really taking off, and GG, well played Dark. He was quite solid in his defense. He takes the ace match and he moves on to the grand finals. Oh. I should update it here on the screen. There you go. GG.